This issue is a simulation for you to restore the Jinan Zhangzhuang Airport air disaster. A total of 38 people were tragically killed in the accident. Let's rewind the time to January 18, 1985. On this day, a Chinese airliner was cruising in Jinan airspace. This plane was passenger plane number 5109 from Nanjing. It was scheduled to land at Jinan Zhangzhuang Airport. This aircraft is Antonov Design Bureau of the former Soviet Union, a twin-engine turboprop regional airliner developed by the Soviet Union's Antonov Design Bureau. The An-24 has been flying continuously for 13 years. There were some minor accidents in the middle of the flight. Once the cockpit burst into flames due to improper handling by the crew. The cockpit burst into flames. The fire destroyed much of the aircraft's equipment and facilities. Later, through a series of repairs, the plane is back in the blue sky again. Today there are 41 people on board this aircraft, of which 34 passengers, captain, staff 7 people. The weather in Jinan airspace was not very good at this time. Visibility was less than 1 kilometer. This kind of weather is very unfavorable to the flight of the aircraft. At the same time, it was raining continuously in the sky. The plane was approaching Jinan Zhangzhuang Airport. The crew started to make some preparations before landing. The plane was slowly descending in altitude. The plane entered the clouds before we knew it. The clouds were very thick. The pilot in the cockpit could not see the ground at all. What is the situation? They couldn't identify which direction the runway was. The crew was getting nervous. They kept looking for the runway during the descent. The plane began to yaw slowly as it went through the clouds. The crew was completely unaware of this. Their attention was focused on finding the runway. In order to find the runway faster, the crew turned on the lights, hoping to find the runway by the light. To find the direction of the runway, but it didn't work out as expected. Not only did they not see the runway of the airport, instead, the blinding lights of the street lights interfered with the crew's vision. The crew had to fumble to continue landing the plane. As the plane approached the nearside platform near the airport, the crew suddenly realized the plane seemed to be yawing. The crew kept adjusting the plane's flight direction, trying to get back on a normal downward path after a period of descent. At this point the plane was less than 1 kilometer from the airport. The captain immediately told the co-pilot, quickly put the wings to 38 degrees. Later investigators analyzed at this time the plane's wing should be adjusted to 30 degrees, instead of 38 degrees when the wing of the plane is at 38 degrees. The descent rate of the aircraft would be much larger than the normal rate of descent is much larger. This also laid the groundwork for the accident. The plane was still descending. The altitude of the plane reached 200 meters. The crew was still seeing a gray cloud in front of their eyes. The runway lights were still not visible, but the good thing is that at this time the tower found that the plane had already deviated from the normal descent path and immediately informed the crew, Flight 5109, your approach line is off to the right, resume flight immediately, resume flight immediately. Unfortunately, after being alerted by the tower, the crew, still hesitant, did not want to resume flight, trying to realign the runway for a one-time landing, so the crew did not make any re-entry. At about 9:00 p.m. the plane was very low to the ground, only 50 meters high. It was already seriously below the normal descent path. And the aircraft was not yet aligned. At this point in the descent, the crew suddenly heard an alarm from the aircraft, pull up, pull up. The captain immediately panicked, finally intended to resume flight. Then he pulled back the lever as hard as he could, head up instantly. But the captain at this time made a serious mistake. He forgot to retract the gold wing, resulting in a serious lack of lift. The nose of the plane again appeared a large upward. The plane was in a stall. The plane was completely out of the control of the crew. It started to rock in the air. Due to the very low altitude of the aircraft, the plane only rocked for a few seconds before hitting the ground hard. 38 people on board were killed, only 3 people survived. The 3 survivors were thrown out of the cabin when the plane hit the ground. They were thrown out of the cabin. They survived. The location where the plane crashed, only 200 meters from the airport. Very sorry, very sad. The accident was caused by bad weather conditions near the airport. The crew was seriously yawing during the descent. After being warned by the tower, still insisted on descending. The aircraft did not take decisive measures to resume flight. When the crew found that the aircraft was too low and did not align with the chute, the crew took reflight measures only in panic. But in the process of reflight, they did not retract the gold wing and pulled the lever hard, resulting in the plane stalling and crashing. May this kind of thing not happen again.